types of mapping. So we have four basic types of mapping. Four basic. The first one we have one-to-one mapping. The second one we have onto mapping. The third one we have identity mapping. And the last one, which is part of the four basic type of mapping that we have, we also have constant mapping. Now, let me start from the first one, which is one-to-one mapping. A mapping is said to be one-to-one, or one-to-one mapping is also called injective mapping. Injective what? Mapping. So it's also called injective mapping, one-to-one mapping. Then the onto mapping is also called the subjective mapping. So one-to-one mapping is also called injective mapping, and onto mapping is also called what? Subjective mapping. Now, a map is said to be one-to-one if each element in the domain has a unique outcome in the what? Codomain. Don't we get the difference or the explanation? Each element in the what? In the domain. Let's say I'll just use some. Let's say I'm having map Y function. Then let's say here I'm having A, B, C, D. Then I'm having 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. So each element in the codomain, or each element in the domain, has a unique element in the what? Codomain. Each element in the domain has a unique element in the what? Codomain. So that is, this one is mapped to this one-to-one. This one-to-one mapping. So this is attached to it, one. This is attached to. So it's only this codomain that is having this image. You understand? It's only this one. It's only this one that produce this. 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 That's what we mean by one-to-one mapping. You can also have the diagram can come in another way. So don't be confused. So they can also draw it like this. You can draw it like A, B, C, D. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can decide to draw it like this. I can decide to cross it. But what you need to always know is that, okay, this one is giving this. This one is giving this only. This one is giving this only. This one is giving this only. It's also what? One-to-one mapping. You get? Now, what is also called injective. What do you mean by onto mapping? Onto mapping is a mapping in which at least one domain, you understand, produces one codomain. At least, that word at least must be there. Do you get? At least. When they say at least one, it means it can be one upward. That is why in some cases most of onto mapping are always one-to-one mapping. You understand? Most of onto mapping can also be what? One-to-one mapping. But one-to-one mapping can never be onto mapping. You get? So sometimes onto mapping can be one-to-one mapping. But one-to-one mapping can never be what? Onto mapping. How? So I said from the definition, let's say I'm having this. I'm having x, then I'm having y function. So I'm having a, b, c, d. Then I'm having 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's now say this image produce this domain produce this. You get this this same image one still produce this. Then I have this. Sorry. Let me write something like this. So this produce this, right? Then this also produce this. Then this produce this. Then I'm having, I want to give two examples. Then this, clear. So now that's the first example that I will give. The second one, okay, I think I will have another example. So okay, it's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. So now look at this. One A produce one, right? A produce one. B produce two. C also produce two. Then D produce four. You can see that from the codomain, this is the image. This is the P image. Sorry, there's a mistake here. Domain is the P image. Please correct that. Domain is the what? The image, and codomain is the what? Image. This is the image. This is the image. Please, from the first video that I did, I said domain is the what? Image. Why codomain is the pre-image? No, domain is the pre-image and codomain is the image that we are talking about. So now look at this. This produce one image. This produce how many image? Two image. Like B produce two, C also produce what? Two. They are the same thing. But when you want to do the mapping, you cannot be saying that okay, because it produce two, you now write 1, 2, 2. It's not possible. Because if A actually produce two, B produce two, and you want to represent in a mapping form, you will not write two twice. You have to write it what? Once. So that means you are having domain producing how many codomain? You are having two. That is, B produce the same thing, C also produce the same thing. So when you're now having something like this, whereby domain, an element in the domain produce a particular thing, another element produce the same thing. You understand? So in mapping, that's what we call onto mapping. So each one is not produce one. Some produce the same thing. You get? So that's what we mean by what? Onto mapping. So it cannot be one thing it's produced, it cannot be more than. So like this one now, this B that produce two, C that produce two. You can also see that, okay, I might not write it like this. I might say, okay, I might say A produce 4 as well. I can say A produce 4. A produce 4, D produce what? 4. B produce 2, C produce what? 2. This is also auto mapping. You get? So that is, each element in the what? Domain produce at least one element that are the same in the what? In the codomain. That's what we mean by onto mapping. You get? Now, if I now want to test you, if I say, okay, X, Y, and I write A, B, C, D, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and I say, okay, A is mapped to B, The same thing, A is mapped to 2, B is mapped to this, and this is mapped to this. If I ask you which type of mapping is this, look at this. Which type of mapping is this? If I ask you, maybe this will be a big problem. Because some will say, this is still an auto mapping now, because we are having one produce A, two. No, your code domain cannot produce domain. Your image cannot produce pre-image. It's pre-image that produce what? Image. So this type of mapping, they always bring something like this in the test or exam. They now say, which of the following is not a mapping? That's what we say. This one is not a mapping. This one is not a what? A mapping. You understand? This one is not a what? A mapping. What is what I'm saying? So it's not a mapping in the sense that A produce 1. You get? A still produce 2. A cannot produce what? A cannot produce 2 image. The image cannot produce what? 2 image. But different pre-image, let's say A and C, can produce the same image as this one. A produce 4, D produce 4, B produce 2, C produce 2. This onto mapping. But A cannot produce single pre-image, cannot produce different what? Different images. Single pre-image cannot produce what? Different images. So this is not a mapping at all. Hope you are following. This is not a mapping. So please get the difference clear. This A, because at least in your domain, what's the essence of this B there? The essence of this B is to produce something. At least each element must produce something. You understand? Each element in the domain must produce something. It cannot produce one or different domain produce the same thing. But it's not possible that you have an element in the domain that doesn't produce anything. You can have an element in the what? In the codomain that is not an image of anything. But you cannot have what? Elements in what? In the domain that doesn't have what? Image. That's it. So that's why if you want to write the what? The range for this one, you just see your range is what? 1, 2, and 4. So 3 is not part of the what? It's not part of the range. Please get the difference clear. You can ask me which one is not the mapping. Now, the next one is what? Identity mapping. Identity mapping is easy. What do you mean by identity? Identity. So it's very easy. Let's say you're having 2 mapping. Let's say this is A, B, C, D. And they say it's mapped to D, C, B, A. You get? So far that A is mapped to A, B is mapped to B. You can see that they are the same thing, identity. C is mapped to what? C, and D is mapped to what? D. So this is irrespective of the arrangement. So far that A produce the same thing, like domain produce the same image. A produce A, B produce B, C produce C, D produce, so the same thing. So that's what we mean by identity mapping. And the last one, constant mapping. Constant mapping. Constant mapping is also very easy. Constant mapping. So let's say you're having X, Y. Then you're now having A, B, C, D. Then you're having 1, 2, 3, 4. Constant mapping means that what is it called? This one this thing like this. This one, A, we map to 1, B, we map to 1, C, we map to 1, and D will be what? Also map to 1. So that is all the elements in the what, in the domain will be mapped to what, one number, like one constant, one thing, a constant in the what, codomain, just one thing. That's what we mean by constant mapping. So that's all. That's all about constant mapping. Your B can also map to everything, your C can also map to everything, your D can also map to everything. You understand? So that's what we mean by what, constant mapping. So and that's all the definition of what, difference and definitions and explanations on the types of what, of mapping. Please get all these definitions clear. So the next video we are going to be doing is under composite mapping and inverse of the what, of the mapping, and that's where the two calculations are. You understand? So as you are seeing this video, please help us react, comment and share. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow my pages on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram at Lord Bashir Tutorials. Also recommend our Facebook page, and you can go and recommend, please. Thank you.